the agenda. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Moving on to the consent agenda. Looks like it's pretty cut and dry. Nothing out of the norm. Okay. Looks like we need some more seats. Yeah, it's a good turnout when we're getting seats. All right, any discussion on the consent agenda?
I move approval of the consent agenda as presented.
All in favor of the consent agenda say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Consent agenda carries. Looks like we'll move on to the employee recognition. Terry? With your new glasses?
So here's the thing. I lost my glasses, so I had to go out to Dollar General and get me some readers so I can see. But if I have these on, it's a blur. So I'm kind of all over the place. Anyway, so this evening I'd like to take a moment to recognize the Fort Scott Technology Department led by Mr. Stephen Mitchell. This team plays a vital role in keeping the district running smoothly and ensuring that all things IT are not only managed effectively, but also with an unmatched level of quality, timeliness, and attentiveness to our needs. And the best thing that I do like about our tech team is they don't talk tech jargon that goes here. They can put it in layman's terms to where I can understand it. So I appreciate that. And those team members are Stephen Mitchell, Bryce Daly, Joe Falk, and Landon Hill. They go above and beyond in their work, and their dedication and expertise allows us to focus on what we do best, and that's educating our students and without worrying about the technology behind the scenes. So please join me in giving a well-deserved thank you to Mr. Mitchell and the entire tech department for their hard work and their commitment to excellence. There they are. Oh, and they get to give a speech.
Joe first, right?
Absolutely.
Do we get pictures with them? Moving right along. Destry, what do you have for us tonight?
Well, I have several things. So, first thing I'm going to talk about is the Power School data breach that's been out there for the last couple of weeks. The state of Kansas, and not just the state of Kansas, but all schools that have that use Power School, were in danger of a data breach. So there's a group from the Ukraine. They were hitting schools, trying to access data on kids and teachers. They hit our system twice, attempting to gain access, but our security kept them out. They tried twice, and they have not tried again since. They check it every day to make sure that we haven't had anything. Many districts in Kansas have been affected. Some of the larger districts in particular have been affected, but we are not, or have not been. We will be posting information about the breach and letting people know that our data was not affected, so parents and people will know what's going on with that. So we've had a couple of questions from patrons in the last few days about it. Next thing, Stepping Up for Youth initiative. We're applying for a grant. We've been recruited kind of to apply for this grant. It addresses behavioral health needs for students who are in or at risk of being involved in juvenile justice. And it's supposed to strengthen cross-system collaborations, which we already have a pretty good system in place already. It's county-wide though, so it would include everybody in our county. The first year is just involves strategic planning with partners and working with their technical assistance center. So we're going to be filling out that grant and getting it sent in here in the next week or so. Another grant that came to us is a Gear Up grant, and it's actually through the University of Kansas. It includes 5 districts in southeast Kansas. We'll all be working together with the University of Kansas. So Fort Scott, Galena, Arma, Independence, and Pittsburgh. And it would be set that it wouldn't start until next fall if we get approved. It would go with 6th and 7th graders that next year, 6th and 7th graders. And it would follow them all the way through their first year of high school graduation. And it'll provide services for all of our middle school kids for career and education planning, and then it'll follow them on up through high school. And it's at no cost to the district. Our only commitment would be in kind, and that would be like providing them space to have meetings and things like that and to be able to use. But we'll know more about that later, but that's what we have at the moment. The farm. Do we have any FFAers here today? The farm is actually finally going to be delivered tomorrow. So January 14th, we will get the enclosed trailer. There'll be the hydroponic farm. And then just wanted to let you know we started the pre-employment drug screening. That will actually start after tonight. So those people who are approved for hire will have to go through the pre-employment drug screening. And we've already contacted them and they're ready to go. So the last thing I put at your table, an enrollment update. Just after semester, there's usually some changes. Our enrollment is up about 12 kids from December 9th. So we're up a little bit, and KRI right now is showing that they're down at 50, but I know they added 5 today, so they will probably be at 58 probably by the end of the week. But right now we're holding steady, and our enrollment's looking good. So I don't have anything else for tonight. Do you have any questions?
Everybody? Thank you. Moving on to Terry.
All right, in your packet was the business, finance, budget updates, as well as the operations updates. I just included some information, just a comparison of revenue and expenditure summaries from November of 23 to November of 24, and you can see where those revenues were. Revenues are very similar for that time frame, and expenditures are down about $3.5 million through November of 24, and then even carrying through December, expenditures through December of 23 were right at 20.5 million, and to date, December of 24, they were at about 16.8 million. We don't have the December revenues reconciled yet. By the time we get the bank statements in, and with the board meeting as early in the month as it is, it's hard to get those revenues plugged in there for those reports. But things are trending well, and the further we get throughout the year, gets January and February, we'll have a much better idea of where we are in terms of our revenues and expenditures. The other area, the cell tower update, that lease agreement on the cell tower that is at the high school, that lease agreement expires in July of 2028. And remember, Tower Point called and they're interested in purchasing that cell tower site. Within the lease agreement, though, Verizon or American Tower, they have the right to first refusal. So basically, they have a right to make an offer on that. And we've notified them of our intent to sell the tower. They have 45 days to give us notice that they intend to make an offer, and then what that offer will be. So I would say hopefully by next month we'll have that offer from Verizon and see where we are with that. In terms of operations updates, on facilities and maintenance side, Update on the field turf replacement. The installation crew has the field all greened out, which basically means that all the rock is covered. They were to return on site today, but the weather has probably delayed them in that. But once they do return, they'll finish cutting and inlaying the remaining lines. I didn't know that, like the hash marks and all the numbers, they cut those out and come back in and inlay those. So that's the work that will be done when they come back, and that's about a week-long task. And then while that is taking place, they'll be delivering the bagged infill, and then they'll spread that, and that usually takes about another week as well. So if the weather holds off and cooperates, probably by the end of the month, that project will be complete. As far as the Horton Street property for the future preschool, an update there. Visited with Crosslink Construction. They are right now working on setting up pre-construction meetings, and then we'll be setting bid dates after that, and that will be for the demolition of the interior of that first floor, and then also looking at the fire suppression system. The Keyhole building, I know we've had some discussion there. Was able to get a little bit of an update from that group, representatives from the Keyhole Board of Directors. They've indicated that they are in the process of closing down the nonprofit side of things, and they've expressed a desire to work with the district to transfer ownership of the building to the district. So we probably need to start having some discussion to see if we have a need for this property, and if so, what that potential use could be. Here's the thing. I could see that there might be some potential issues, even if you're able to get a building for a very good deal. I mean, I don't know what's going to be, but they said a reasonable offer. But when we look at this, whatever we may want to do with it, is it going to be cost prohibitive? Because we don't know, what type of lead abatement would need to be done, asbestos abatement. So those are the things that we got to kind of look at and consider before we just take on ownership of a building that we don't even know what we do with the building or with the property itself. So we'll have some future discussions on that area. We did purchase the maintenance truck vehicle. We purchased a 2015 Ford F-150 from Evans Motors. The authorized price is $20,000. We purchased that for $19,995, but also included in that we did get a tow package added to the vehicle and a Tommy lift for the truck as well. So several thousand additional dollars of equipment to equip that truck was included in that. In terms of more maintenance, as we've discussed, our overall improvement plan with the district in that long-range planning was a long-range facilities plan. I've been working on that. I've over that time have kind of come up working just some previous work that had been done. There's about a page and a half of long-range planning items on here that would address instructional needs, other athletic facilities, and those type of things. You're looking at ballparking. If we were able to do all of those projects, you're probably looking at $20 to $25 million of projects. So this is one of those things where we're trying to figure out how do we come up with the funding for all of these projects. Well, obviously you're not going to in a short period of time. So this 5-year long-range planning might become more of a 10-year plan as we also work to prioritize those needs and figure out how to budget for those needs and those projects and those associated costs. I know we've had some discussion, and I believe we have a contingency here that wants to discuss the wrestling practice facility. And so just to kind of address that is one of those items that is on the long-range list. And so looking and just sharing some information, the maintenance department has been directed to immediately address the heating, the HVAC issues in that wrestling room to ensure a proper environment for practice. We're also looking at plans in place to update the locker room facilities and those restroom facilities with those upgrades scheduled as probably a spring and summer project. In the interim, the athletic department is working on finding ways and coming up with logistics and alternative spaces for the wrestling practice until that HVAC system is fully addressed and we have proper heating in that space for those student athletes. The most likely location right now is to use the multipurpose room at the middle school until the heat is fixed. Also, as we're looking at these improvements for the wrestling program, it also might be a point to check in and see what other needs that the program does have as well, especially, talking to the coaches and the athletic department to see, where they are in terms of the condition of the practice mats, or what other equipment could be beneficial over there in terms of training equipment or providing, athletic training equipment and those type of things. Just providing services to where we can update, upgrade the equipment, enhance the program, and give those student athletes an adequate and up-to-date space for their program. As far as food service, you can see that in the month of December, we served over 9,300 breakfasts, 14,000 lunches, for a total of just over 23,000 meals, for a daily average of over 1,668 meals. The technology department has completed the installation of their new network equipment at each school. They've also finished the updates at the board office, maintenance and transportation buildings. Right now, they still have to complete work at the data center, but that will be done during the evening to prevent any disruptions to students and staff during the school day. They're also working to upgrade our fiber speeds at each location from 10 gigs to 25 gigs. Destry already shared with you information about the Power School data breach, so I will skip that. And then in terms of transportation, bus purchase updates, the bus with the wheelchair lift was delivered on December 23rd, and we're still waiting for delivery of the 71 passenger bus, but that we're expecting to get that in any day now. They said mid-January, and we're pretty close to mid-January for that. So the 10 passenger van update, we are still working on trying to locate 10 passenger van. If we can find 2 decent used vans, we could really put them in the fleet right now. And if not, our option may be purchasing a new van, and we're in the process of getting bids. I have 2 bids. One is right at $60,000. The other one is $66,000. And of course, if you go with a new van, you're going to have to order that, and you're probably several weeks to a couple months out on them actually picking up that order and building the van, and then it has to be converted. So that's where we are in terms of trying to find those 10 passenger vans. Still working on that. Would like to be able to get something done soon because there is a need. And of course, as we talk about all the budget, the finance, and all of our facilities needs, we're also trying to figure out how we can update our transportation fleet and keep it up to date as well. When you're talking about the purchase of a new bus at $130,000 plus, and we could probably use 1 to 2 new buses every year, and then in terms of the 10 passenger vans that we need for our fleet. So a lot going on there, but that's what I have for the month. Yes.
You mentioned, like a used bus.
Yes.
If that was to, or the passenger van, used one, do we need to do a pre-approval on that, or is that something we can do quickly? Because you said how fast they've moved in the past, whenever you could find that.
I don't know what, I mean, that would be great if you guys could give us an authorization on if we were able to go out there and find something, if we could find 1 or 2 and pull the trigger on those, that would be great. I just, Destry, is there a dollar amount that they can actually do on this, or do we just kind of, yeah, and we won't be able to find one for 20,000. So it might be one of those things where we just have to catch it at the right time.
And then on the preschool, is it still looking fall 25 then for?
I don't know that fall 25 is possible, yeah. Yeah.
Terry?
Yes, sir.
On the heat for the wrestling room,
Yes.
when's it gonna be fixed?
I've directed them to start looking at that right now. So now here's the thing, the option is to, there's one heater in there that works, one that was decommissioned several years ago, and basically they stripped parts from it to keep the other one up and running. So we could either do that, or fix that one and have those two, or we could just look at a completely new rooftop unit. So we'll be looking at cost, but like I said, it's not gonna be an immediate fix. I know that's unfortunate. I hate that. That's why we're trying to find a short-term solution for wrestling practice, because it won't be within the next week or two, I would say, to get that fixed. But
I think the board was just made aware of that this week, and it looks like we've got a turnout to talk
Yes,
about this
yes,
tonight.
absolutely.
And
Yeah,
so,
sure.
so you're telling me we don't have a short-term fix to move them back to the wrestling facility, where it's gonna be at the middle school for a while?
until we can get the heat restored,
Okay.
yes.
Any other questions for Terry? All right, moving on. Looks like Tanya's ready.
Good evening. Mine's pretty short, and on your report that I submitted, I've got 3 new ones at the top of my list, and the monthly orientations will start this Wednesday. And then the MOE report, which is maintenance of effort for special ed expenditures, that is due January 31st, and that is basically us accounting for that we spent as much or more money than we did on special ed expenditures a year ago. In the last 4 or 5 years, Fort Scott has made it on all 4 tests. Only have to make it on 1, and I don't anticipate there to be any issues. But I don't know that I'll know by the February board meeting, but it hasn't usually been an issue. So there is a new person at KSDE overseeing it now, so they're learning along, with all of us. So do you guys have any questions for me? Well, thanks for your support. I'll leave it on for Zach.
Thank you. Guess we're moving right on to Dr. Johnson here. You, oh. You can have it when it's over.
All right, well, first of all, in your packet, I'll go over some things as we get going here in a little bit. But first of all, thank you to my staff that's here. I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your evening to be here. They could be home eating supper right now, but I was able to pull them here, so I'm very thankful for them. Real quick, we're going to start off with just a few topics that we have going on at the Fort Scott Middle School that I feel like are worthy of talking about, that are helping our kids in profound ways. And I think the more time we give them these new things that we have in place, I think it's really going to help benefit our kids down the road in some, again, very profound ways. One of those to kick us off is our Stuco. We've been basically started that program up for the last year and a half, and Miss Holman's kind of been kicking that off this year. I'm very proud of how she's went about that this year, and she's going to talk a little bit about that.
I'm 7th grade teacher, and I took over student council this year, and we're trying to, we have 18 kids. They're all really good kids from all 3 grades, and some of them applied, some of them were teacher recommended, but we tried to get kids that would not only kind of learn leadership and be good leaders, but to have a positive impact on the school culture. And I think we have a great group. And so some of the things we've been doing, we went to we went to Greenbush to leadership workshops, and they get to interact with other schools and learn about leadership qualities and things that I think will be good for them, but also good for them to bring back and kind of show all the other students. They have helped with we're trying to make it fun, but also teach them some responsibility and some citizenship and things like that. So they have been, they've done several teacher appreciation activities throughout the year. They put together and presented the Veterans Day Assembly. They did all of the things for that. And they really love it when we go to the grade schools. We've been to Eugene Ware, and they ask me about every week when we get to go to Winfield Scott. But I told them we needed to wait till it was a little warmer so when we go to recess with them. They helped with the career fair, and this year we're trying something new with the middle school yearbook. In the past several years, it's been just created by a teacher, and so this year they're starting to actually take some ownership, and the student council kids are creating the yearbook or helping create the yearbook, and so they're learning photography, and they're going out and talking to kids that they're doing all the interviewing type things and things like that. So I'm really excited about working with them, and I look forward to, this has been a good foundation, and I think even next year I'm already getting feedback from them of things they would like to do more, and ideas that they have to implement next year. So we still have more things that we're going to do. We're going to go to Greenbush for another leadership conference, and they're going to do the ropes course and some things like that. But we're also hoping that we can get ready for next year and get them started off strong next year. So.
Stacy, oh, you guys want to go last? Okay. Okay. Carrie, would you like to come on up? We'll just build off that. Real quick, just with like what Tracy was talking about, we really want our kids to be developing those leadership skills. One thing I want to say more importantly, we want our kids' input with how our building is functioning. Policies, procedures, student learning, and all that. We want their voice. We want them to be at the forefront with what drives our decisions at the school. So that's a big piece and something we want to continue to utilize. The next thing we have is social emotional learning and career fair that was kicked off this year. Mrs. Hanson's going to talk a little bit about that.
All right, so we had our first career fair, sounds like in quite a while. Mrs. Claypool used to put those on, but it's been several years. We had 31 presenters. It was October 30th. Each presenter had 4 different sessions, 30 minutes each, so every session had different children and different students. We asked them to talk about their education, their skills, what their day looks like, hardships, successes, and income. Thought that was kind of important to throw that in there. Also, so on Wednesday mornings, we, Mrs. Claypool and I offer social emotional learning activities for the teachers during the advisory period, which is roughly 25 minutes or so. And so one of the things that we offer for the teachers is individual plan of study, and we use the Zello program for that. It's an online college and career readiness software program. It's personalized based on assessments. So students will complete interactive career, personality, and learning style assessments to help them better understand their unique interests, skills, and strengths. And each engaging assessment encourages reflection, helping students connect who they are and relevant possible career options. Also, social emotional piece of it, we utilize luckily some free curriculums, and right now we are using the Be Good People curriculum, and each student will develop the social emotional and character competencies that promote learning and success in life, which is based off the 2013 KSDE social emotional character development standards. Along with that, Dr. Johnson last year, the year before, asked if we would incorporate digital citizenship with this, and so luckily Common Sense curriculum is also a free curriculum that we use, and each digital citizenship lesson takes on real challenges and digital dilemmas that students face today, giving them skills they need to succeed as digital learners, leaders, and citizens for tomorrow. Topics that are covered are media balance and well-being, privacy and security, news and media literacy, cyberbullying, and drama and hate speech, and a few others. What was handed out from Mrs. Claypool and myself was
last year's Wednesday lessons that we offered. So they're broke down in sections. So Zello, we offered several different times throughout the year. Digital citizenship, other. Some teachers asked if we would do lessons on maybe hygiene, personality traits, and do the personality assessments, which are always fun. We focused on Veterans Day, and then the bottom is all the Be Good People curriculum lessons that we did, and those are the dates. So, any questions on that?
I just want to say again, I was very thankful for Ms. Hanson and Ms. Claypool's work with our career fair this year. I thought they did a phenomenal job. They put a lot of time connecting with employees throughout our community, even outside of our community. And I thought I got some good feedback from it, and I think it's something we can continue to build upon as we move throughout the year. But with all the presenters we had and the way it was kind of ran, they did a great job, and something I think that we can continue to build upon. Ladies, come on up. So moving into the packet a little bit, the first page you have is our state assessment data. So that'll kind of break down the last 9 years of basically state assessment data that we've had over at the middle school. So it's pretty self-explanatory when you look at it, but last year was a big year for us academically. I was very proud of our staff. I was very proud of the efforts that were made. A lot of things that we did were new. We're now in a year and a half of implementing RTI. The way we go about helping kids is different from what's been tradition. And so I'm very proud of the effort that was made just in the first year with it being new. But I think there's a lot of good things to come as we move forward. These ladies are going to kind of talk about what's on the, if you turn over to this page, it should have this page right here, okay? So this is our AP. If you ever heard advisory period at the middle school, we utilize this time to meet kids basically academically where they are. These kids may fall a little bit behind. These kids may find themselves even a little bit ahead. But basically the way we're structured at the middle school is during the advisory period of time, kids have an opportunity to be stamped by any teacher that they want to on the days that they are designated to stamp. So every teacher outside of the electives gets 2 times throughout the week to help any kid that they want throughout the building. So basically, if a kid is a little bit behind, maybe they miss some school due to some sickness, this is targeted time to help those kids academically get where they need to be. And some of our teachers do a really good job with that, very proud of it. But at the same time, it's not optional for these kids. So when it's stamp time during advisory period time, which happens in the morning and at the end of the day for 25 minutes, we want our kids to come and get the help they need from our teachers. And you're going to hear from a couple of our teachers what that perspective looks like.
So I'm an art teacher at the middle school, and so most of my days during the AP time in the morning and the afternoon, I spend monitoring students that don't need that extra help. So I watch them in the library, so that way other teachers or other teachers, the core teachers, can work with students that need that extra help. On Wednesdays, I do get to stamp kids, is what we call it, and those kids get to come to me possibly for extra help. We have a lot of kids in my art room that are involved in outside activities. So sometimes that looks like I might have 5 basketball players that miss a class of mine in the afternoon. Instead of me having to hold my class and maybe do busy work for a day, I can roll right on with my lessons. And then on that Wednesday afternoon, I'm allowed to stamp those kids that were in that activity to maybe go over the watercolor lesson that I explained to the class before. I do have Google Classroom that kids can, if they miss, that they can look on the computer for that lesson, but it's not the same as that one-on-one connection, so it allows me to demonstrate and to work over things. Also in the art room, for me, kids all work differently. Some of them, they want to use a lot of extra time, so it's really nice for me to be able to stamp them on Wednesdays, and they can come in and they can just sit down with me and just continue to work, because it's not like other classes where they get to take that homework home. So I absolutely love my Wednesdays that I get to see kids.
Hi, I'm Jessica Sturry. I teach 8th grade math at the middle school. I wanted to start by crediting admin, because I think that this has been impactful because we have protected time with that building-wide expectation that Dr. Johnson mentioned.
It's given me an opportunity to kind of be proactive and really reach kids with math. We build and build and build, and kids don't always have the confidence, and whether it's because they're absent a day or they just didn't get the material, I'm able to see them twice a week and target specific standards that I feel like they maybe missed. So we're able to kind of get kids caught back up before they get in a big hole, I guess. I feel like it's helping prevent like learned helplessness or kids feeling hopeless in math. We're also able to intervene earlier, so you'll see our iReady data is, I think, in there, right? We're starting to see fewer kids in 2 or more grade levels below on iReady, which is huge. I teach a tier 3 intervention class, which I'll talk about in a second, but my list to pick from the tier 3, which is 2 or more grade levels below, is actually dwindling. I actually kind of struggled to find a full set of kids to have that tier 3 intervention because we're already getting them covered. So the numbers are going down where we want them to go down. And I don't know. It's very valuable. I struggled to like find words to emphasize just how good this time is for teachers and for the students, really. It's helping them incredibly.
Suri really hit on some really good points. During that AP time, is more of our kids who would basically be considered, 1 grade level below, or maybe even on grade level, and just simply missed the lesson, and they just need to have it lectured to them one more time. So that AP time for 25 minutes, that's what that time's for. The tier 3 time she talked about, these are not special education students. These are kids that are multiple grade levels below who may not qualify for an IEP, and we still know that they are 3 or 4 grade levels behind, and we have this time in place to specifically help them. It's small size, and it's very intentional, and it's on their level. And the second thing I would say with that is we pull those kids from an elective. So these kids are basically getting one less elective to try to get them more time in front of the expert to give them that higher frequency to learn. And that's what we're really trying to do with that tier 3 time. But again, both of those are the tier 2 and the tier 3 with the way it's designed. We're a year and a half into it, but we already have some teachers that are doing a great job with that. So, yeah.
Last year I had 4 students all year long. Last year was our first year doing it, and we referenced skill versus will a lot. We want to have kids that will still be able to work on that skill and show growth and not have like behavior issues. Last year it was a struggle with behavior, that fighting it, because kids didn't want to improve, it felt like. So those kids showed a little bit of growth. This year I started with 4. One, I think was the data shows that she was really misplaced in there. We tested again at the beginning of the school year, and she did not do a 1 grade level below. We think she must have had a bad test towards the end of last year. So I was down to 3. 2 of my students went from 3rd grade math to 2nd grade math this semester. One from 3rd grade math to 4th grade math, but she got added in at the start of 2nd quarter, which is only been here for 1 quarter. And now we're starting to have that student, and then I have 4 more who are at 5th grade and 6th grade below. So I started with 3rd grade because that's where my group was, and when I looked at the start of this semester, my lowest grade that I could pull from was 5th grade below. So like that's going to be a good one for me.
And there's iReady data in your packet that'll kind of show a comparison between this year and last year. You're welcome to look at that. I won't spend a lot of time, but it's self-explanatory. At the end of the day, there is a lot of positive growth, especially with the interventions that are in place. But it's kind of like one of those things, it does take time, and it just takes more concentrated focus to get where you truly need to be. And what I mean by that is having 70 to 80% of your kids proficient. And we're not there, to be honest. We're not there. but that's just that collective focus on being very intentional with what we're doing during that tier 1, tier 2, and of course our tier 3 time. Instead of having 100 kids coming with multiple grade levels below, we're only having maybe 50 to start in the fall, and then 25 to start in the fall, and that's where we're trying to get as we progress. But that time is very intentional. It's very powerful for our kids. Guys, come on up. So this is Stacy and Adam. They teach PLTW, which is Project Lead the Way. This is something that, again, we've been doing now for a year and a half, if I'm not mistaken. And very proud. I actually taught this about 10 years ago, and I was really excited to know that, one, we didn't have it integrated at the middle school because I actually taught at the middle school, and I thought these guys would be phenomenal to start getting this thing off the ground, and they have. I'll let them take over.
Thank you. So we've done this presentation before, so we have a slideshow, not that we're trying to be fancy or anything. PLTW courses are designed to engage students in authentic, innovative experiences that focus on exploration of the fields of computer science, engineering, and biomedical science. The curriculum aligns with state and national standards. In just one class, if I were to print off the standards that it aligns with, it was 30-page document, and so we didn't want to bring you guys a ream of paper just of all the standards and things we met. And you're welcome. And it's designed to build student competency and self-efficacy. Project Lead the Way is, it builds, it's so hard to explain unless you're in a classroom and you could see it. And so we're kind of hoping this slideshow presentation will show you what it's like. But every single activity we do, it builds. And so one of the activities we're working on now is, with 6th grade, is we're building dwellings for penguins to keep them from being too hot. And our penguins are ice cubes, and the dwellings they're building are trying to keep the ice cube from melting when we put it in a cooker, which is basically a heat lamp, under a heat lamp. But the students are expected to learn and use the things we did with heat transfer experiments before Christmas. So we didn't just do heat transfer experiments so they could forget it and we could move on. We did a heat transfer experiment so that they could use that information to build, hopefully, the best penguin hut out there. And so the PLTW moves from well-defined activities to more open-ended activities. The first class that we did is design and modeling, and these are the basics of design and modeling. They provide students with opportunities to apply design process and creatively solve problems, introduce the unit problems in the first activity, and are asked to make connections throughout that whole activity. And students learn and utilize methods for communicating design ideas through sketches, solid models, and mathematical models. And so in design and modeling, the very first activity out of the box was to design an ankle-foot orthosis, which the bottom picture there are the ankle-foot orthoses that our students designed in groups to use for a student or a child in a design brief that had cerebral palsy, where a child with cerebral palsy tends to walk on their toes, and the ankle-foot orthosis is to get them down on the flat of their foot and hold their toe up. And then the gentleman you see in the picture, his name is Barry Campbell, and he came from Kansas City from the Hanger Clinic, and this is what he does for a living. And he took the kids through making casts of their legs to make an ankle-foot orthosis. And he came, there was something I was gonna say, but now I can't remember because I'm nervous. But this is the second year he's come and done this with our kids. Oh, one of the things PLTW is it tries to make community connections and job connections. And so we're hoping through this presentation you can see some of that. Another part of the design and modeling is we took students in to make isometric and multi-view drawings. And to make a career connection or a community connection, we brought in Mark Rice from Twister Trailer because he's the lead designer there. And he showed the kids how Twister does their drafting and their modeling. It's all computer aided. And then the Chamber of Commerce puts on a manufacturing day where schools get to visit manufacturing businesses around Fort Scott. And we were the only school that got to go to Twister Trailer, and it's because of the connection with Mark. And so we spent about a half hour there going through the facility and seeing the trailers, what they build and where they build them. And then when Mark came, he also brought a trailer with him. Well, Robert Black brought a trailer with him, and the kids got to go outside and go through that trailer and stuff. And these are just some of the drawings that the kids made. We did a unit with measurement where we used dial calipers, and we made these things called skimmers, and then we raced the skimmers, and I don't remember who the winner was, but they raced the skimmers to see how far they could go. We've built puzzle cubes with Tinkercad, and I don't remember what we call those cubes. And then after they designed their puzzle cube, we actually built them with the wooden blocks, and we tested them to see how hard or difficult they were. Another class is computer science for innovators and makers. In this class, it's hard to explain what we do in it because the kids spend a lot of time with microbits, and this is a microbit, and learning how to hook up light sensors and pressure sensors and flex sensors and LED boards and lights. And after they go through this whole big, huge process of learning how to use all the components, they go have an activity that's called Secrets and Safes. And in Secrets and Safes, the kids are trying to save something from being stolen or keep something a secret. And these are some of the kids that did their secrets, and then they do a presentation. And then we had one student, this is Jagger. I don't know how to do sound. Does the sound automatically come through? Or do we know? I wasn't thinking, or I would have tested it beforehand. But the sound, he did yeah, it does, so hopefully it should go. I'm hoping you guys can hear him, but this was, when he did it originally in class, he was very animated because he was trying to save his V-Bucks, and these bad people were gonna steal them and everything. And then when I asked him if I could videotape him, he was really quiet. And so I'm hoping we can hear it, and we can't because he's talking. But anyway, his presentation there was to save his V-Bucks, and his safe, when he demonstrates it at the end, it's got a light that blinks on it and flashes, and then it also makes a buzzing sound. So if somebody picks up the box and tries to steal it, it alerts him, or an alarm goes off. And this is his presentation on how he built it and came up with a design and the programming that he used and how frustrated he was in the beginning and everything. And right here when he demonstrates it. But anyway. And then we did energy and the environment. And we do this class with 6th grade, and in energy and the environment, we do a lot on sustainable solutions for environmental things. We did wind energy, where students designed their own blades, and we lifted a weight, buckets of washers to see how well. Then this is pictures of them testing their blades to see how well or how efficient or they are, how much work they do. We also got to take kids to the Jayhawk Wind down south by the Keller Ranch, or the old O'Brien Ranch, depending on how long you've been around here. And we got to take a tour, and they showed the kids, we actually got really close to one. It doesn't look like it because it's so huge, but we were actually pretty close to one of the turbines. And they gave us the tour of one of the turbines, and then this is their substation before the electricity goes out to the grid. We also did solar cookers. The kids were on a float trip, and everything capsized. The only thing they had left were s'mores. And so they built solar cookers to try to cook the marshmallows for their s'mores. And then we brought in Marvin Lewis and Jacques Harvey, the district conservationists, to talk to kids, to talk to our classes about soil testing and, having good, healthy soil to grow good, healthy plants and things. And this was the penguin activity that we were talking to you about, that students have to buy their supplies from the Igloo Depot. They're not just given whatever they want. They actually have a budget and they have to buy their supplies. And in the background, you can kind of see one of the cookers where we put the penguins in the cookers and see how long they last. And then the final class that I haven't taught that Adam has, Adam and I, we both teach all the 3 other classes, and then there's green architecture. And I'm gonna let you talk about it because I haven't taught it.
All right, so essentially green architecture is they're taught how to measure, which they should know how, but we reinforce that. And then they're given dimensions of a building. They have to scale it down, so you can see the kids drawing it down to scale with an architectural ruler. And then we build a model of the building. And then the last thing we were able to do is they were able to actually frame in an actual shed. It's the actual shed that they were able to scale down. And so that's our latest project. So that's green architecture.
And that's our presentation. Unless you guys have questions. Yeah, we have a sixth grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade tech class. And 6th grade is CSIM, computer science, 8th grade is design and modeling and green architecture. And then 6th grade is energy and the environment. Maybe, we don't call it science, but 3/4 of the stuff we do fits in with science and the scientific method. One of the things we didn't show you is they have a 7-step design process where you define the problem, generate concepts, design a solution, and then you actually build and test and go on from there. And it's the scientific method. We just don't call it the scientific method. So we call it STEM and STEAM, but it's very science oriented. You know, we spent 2 weeks doing heat transfer, convection, conduction, radiation, and doing tests with pop cans and marshmallows and I set one marshmallow on fire. There's smoke everywhere. But anyway, it was because we weren't paying attention and we set one on fire. But it's a lot of science heavy and a lot of science background also. And so one thing that Adam always talks about that he didn't talk about this time is that we hit a little bit of a lot of different high school classes. So like with the drafting, CTE, the isometric draws and the multi-view drawing we do. I mean, they used to call it drafting at the high school, and I don't know what they call it now, but I know they have CAD and things like that there. And so that's a piece of it. And his green architecture kids, they didn't get to finish that whole building, but they did some framing. And so that creates some interest in the construction trades class at the high school. And so a lot of what we do are basic pieces that fit into what they could do. And it's really, if you guys know any computer scientists, that would be great, because we can't find a single computer scientist to come and talk to our kids. But we try really hard to bring in the community and make community connections with everything we do, so kids can hopefully go out and be interested in it more. Well, all the kids take an elective, but there's this class, art, cooking and sewing, business essentials, weights. So all the kids could take our class. Carrie knows more about that. Sorry, Carrie. So they all have an option to take it. It just depends. Some kids would rather do the cooking than the technology or the PLTW. Are there any other questions? Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
The assessment scores
Yeah.
you gave us,
Yes.
what do you attribute the huge growth that we've
Yeah.
seen this year to?
Good question.
When you
Had to
look
get
at
that. Have a good night.
When you look at the 9 years
Yeah,
back,
yeah.
you were nowhere close to where we are this year.
You know, I'm a big believer that a lot of things are, like 80% of what you do is culture, belief, effort, attitude, all that good stuff. And again, I look at things, you know, from a perspective of, you know, how is our team doing overall? What effort is being made? And I feel like our teachers worked really hard last year to overall to try to see the new systems in place take effect. RTI, the tiered system that we have, where we're very intentional with our tier 2 time during AP and our tier 3 time where we're literally pulling kids from an elective to try to get them caught up, but also just emphasizing the importance of testing. You know, some of the feedback I got before we did our state assessment, there just wasn't a lot of focus. There's a lot of preparation that goes into a state assessment. At the middle school, again, you can see 5 out of 7 is where we were last year, which was huge. And I went back 9 years. That was as far as back as I could go. I couldn't go back any further, but I was very proud. But I think at the end of the day, it's just for the first year, it was just a lot of effort in trying the new system. I really do. And we were very intentional with how we prepared our kids and how our teachers prepared. And, you know, really for a system to know how good it is, it takes more time than just a year. But I'm excited to see. Yeah.
Are they still practicing more now? In other words, the state used
Yeah.
to have it set up where you could do more practice assessments.
The interim
to
assessments
prepare
are in
for it,
place.
because once they're more familiar with it, the more they I'm a firm believer, the more you practice, the better you get something. Pretty simple.
We've got a great math teacher right here in the house, and I think she could elaborate on that if you would like.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, the kite, interim
Yeah,
test.
yes.
I will say, like, this is my 4th year teaching, so classic first year teaching, and you're just surviving, right? It
Sure.
feels like, between now and then, like, our PD days where we dove into essential standards and lining up with what the state informs us and gives us has been like my saving grace to have that time to just like really hone in and focus on what should I be spending the most time on. And then with that, we have more resources with the kite. They're doing, not only is it like, I don't know, I guess the perception, like Dr. Johnson said, the culture, the perception my first year was like the interim is a checklist. Like you just have, and now it's like, no, it's just so much more valuable than that. So I think our perception has changed, and that gets the students to change on it. We also, Krista Gorman has helped like show within the kite interim website, there are even like mini practice tests for the interim itself. I think the 8th grade right now has 6 different standards out of like the 12. And so practicing those, getting the same vocab and level of rigor that the state assessment does has also helped adjust kids kind of not to be so stressed and
Good.
like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be 10 times harder, so that's helped a lot.
Good for you.
And to compound on that a little bit, again, I think the biggest piece that hasn't really been said is trusting the data and actually looking at the data and being very intentional at what is the data showing us. I think that is something, my gosh, I mean, if the data's not showing us growth and helping kids, we gotta change and how we looked at it and how we've been intentional with how we're gonna go about focusing in the future and being proactive versus reactive. And those are things I think a lot of our teachers are getting a really good job of understanding. Once they get diagnostic data from, you know, iReady, once we get interim assessment data, once teachers see things like this, I mean, we have a lot of teachers that they see something like this. I mean, they get, you know, if a kid missed it, they want to, what do we need to do to fix it? How do we need to better align our curriculum? And how do we need to trust the data and follow the best practices out there? And again, I think we got some teachers that are really doing that.
Congratulations on the growth there.
Yeah, thank you.
So I would also say, and he's not gonna take any credit, but Zach and Matt have done a great job of just organizing, and getting everybody on the same page and working together, and that building culture over there has really improved. I will also say that, as a result of all the work that they're putting in and the work the teachers are putting in, our behaviors are going way down over there as a result, because kids are more engaged and doing things, and so I can't stress enough that our leadership's doing a great job over there, leading that building.
Thank you.
Very nice. Let's move on to old business. 7.1, the maintenance truck purchase, I think we've kind of touched on that already.
Yep.
Is there any other,
I don't have any
Sure.
additional information, just have the recommendation to give final approval for that purchase.
okay, any discussion there?
I move we accept the purchase
All right,
of the maintenance truck.
we have a motion and a second on the maintenance truck. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to new business, the Hinton Creek Solar Contributions Agreement. I think we've been down this road. Is there any discussion here, Destry?
Pretty much the same as the other two.
Okay.
They just changed the names of the companies. I mean, they use the same boilerplate.
Okay.
We would receive a certain percentage or a certain amount per kilowatt hour that they produce, that they would donate to the district for 10 years.
What's our exposure here?
None.
Okay.
And we don't, I mean, we're not
What's
out there saying that we're for or against or anything else.
We have no stance on this.
They are wanting to give us money, and we're willing to accept that.
Okay.
I move to accept the contribution agreement with Hinton Creek Solar as presented.
Motion and accept, or motion and a second on the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Moving on to 8.2, the resolution 2408 to establish the regular board meetings for 2025. This is pretty cut and dry as well. Any questions here?
I'll move that we approve that resolution 2408, establishing regular board meetings 2025.
We have a motion and a second on the board meetings for 2025. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to 8.3, the resolution 2409 to establish the election of school board officers. Again, this is something we take care of annually. It'll happen in July. Any questions there? Do we have a motion?
I move to approve resolution 2409, establish election of school board officers.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the school board officers. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to the 8.4, to the board vacancy. Duster, you want to discuss that?
So we have an opening already with Brian Allen's seat, and we had advertised for that position. Mike Miles resigned his position effective last Friday, and you can read his letter there, but he is resigning his board position, and so we now have two positions open. And we are advertising for that. It should be in the paper on Wednesday. Is that right, Candace? So we have scheduled for next Monday to be the night to interview candidates to fill board positions. We have 3 candidates that have applied, and you'll interview them, and you can fill 1 or 2 or whatever from that. So that would be up to you guys to determine how you want to do that. I will say that this is going to make it a very unique year, because in 2025, the county clerk asked us for what positions were going to be open. And so the positions that are going to be open are David, Brian, Mike, Danny, and Joe. So that would leave 2 incumbents that would remain on the board for 2 more years. So usually it's 3 one year and 4 the next, and this time it's going to be 5 at one time. So
Plenty of experience there.
that will be a new one for me too. So Anyway, but you guys that are, been appointed, you can re-up and be on the ballot, so.
Any discussion? This is just a discussion item. Does anybody have any
Yeah.
questions here?
So there's no, is there like a week timeline after it's been posted, or?
No, it just has to be posted, and so we'll be posted on Wednesday, and we'll be interviewing next week, and so if we have any new ones come in, we can add them to the list to be interviewed.
And those have to be added by Monday?
Yeah,
By meeting?
by Monday evening,
By submitting you an email, correct?
or Candace, either one of us.
And then and you said they'll be up for election.
And so they'll only serve on the board possibly for 9 months. Other questions?
We'll move on to public forum. It's been a while since we've done these, so I thought I would read
Haven't done one since I've been here.
the rules here. The purpose of the school board meeting is to conduct business on behalf of USD 234. This is an open meeting under COMA. Under COMA, patrons are entitled to listen but not entitled to speak unless the board invites public comment. The board extends the right to speak to any member of the public during the public forum as long as his or her comments meet the following conditions. Presentations shall not exceed 3 minutes. Presentations may not contain personal, identifiable information or public criticism of a student or employee. Presentations must be relevant to the scope of the authority of the board, and the speaker must address the board from the podium. If a patron chooses not to comply with these guidelines, he or she must be asked to forfeit the remaining time and take their seat. So is Dakota Hall here? Jerry Smith. Candace is gonna keep the time so we know where we're at on that. 3 minutes.
So we just want to address the,
Could you introduce yourself?
yes, I'm Jerry Smith,
I'm Kenna Miles.
and we just want to address on the form of the athletes, in need of a new facility and new, gear. And we just want to feel, involved more within the, high school, being that we don't get as much grants, though, knowing that we don't have a program that brings in as much money as, say, the basketball or football with the games. But we are looking for more, just recognition and funds towards our program.
Aaron Bain?
So I'd just like to address that. So any of the money that comes in from any games or activities that are held at the high school, those all go into activity account in general, and it's used for all sports and activities. So any of that is used, that's what that money is all used for, all sports and activities. It's not just for basketball admissions and that sort of thing. So I just wanted you to know that.
My name is Erin Van, and I have been a parent in this school district for the past 18 years and have had a child participating in the wrestling program for the last 9 consecutive years. I am here tonight to speak on concerns for myself and other parents involved in the wrestling program and the current situation that we have. In those 9 years that I've been a parent, I have watched the entire bond issue that was passed and revamped the entire school without one thing done for our wrestling program. As you are all aware, the practice gym was 55 degrees or less last week and still is. I sent an email last week to administration and have not heard back anything. I did hear back today from Mr. Mayfield. It is my understanding that the high school admin was informed about the temperature of the gym, but was also told that the furnace is working properly, and said basically, we'll try to figure something out. But they practiced for 2 days in those conditions, while they tried to figure out a solution. This has been the same situation every year since they moved to that facility, and not even to mention the sewer issues that have been there, and who knows what else our kids are breathing in that building. This is not a new problem. Honestly, I feel that finding a proper solution or not finding a proper solution was just a lazy way out. The solution was to put them in the mezzanine of the gymnasium, which is where they used to practice before moving there, with 45 to 50 kids. The safety of this is unacceptable. There is a brand new auxiliary gym that is huge. We have around the same number of kids as basketball boys and girls, which use both high school gyms plus Buck Run from my understanding. If Buck Run is available for basketball practice or the middle school, the logistics of this could be done if the effort was put forth. Not sure whose job responsibility that falls on, but I am just here to express the concerns of us parents. On an administration level, it has been brought to my attention, the record boards in the front hallway have not been updated since 2019. My son, it's 2025. My son was a state champion in 2021, not one sign of it in that front hallway. We have current high school students with amazing accomplishments in the sport with no sign of it anywhere in the hallways. Kenna Miles is a current student, state champion last year, nothing to show for it in the halls of FSHS. And I'm not sure about all the other sports, but just it seems like a lack of effort to me. This sport is the most successful program we have had with multiple state champs and placers in the past 5 years. The blind eye that has been turned to this program is a disgrace to our athletes. I feel like our administration should be the ones to advocate and be proactive for our athletes and coaches, and it has not been that. This has been a known problem for several years with nothing done to move towards actually having proper wrestling facilities. The fact that a backup plan has not been established yet still shocks me. And I have more, but can I continue? Okay.
Moving on, Leslie Gotten.
I'll try to go over what she didn't, since it's similar in a way. Alright, I'm gonna talk fast. Okay, so I'm Leslie Godden, Kenna Miles' mom. I graduated from USD 234 in 2004. My question is addressing us not being able to use the auxiliary gym. Unless there's other ways that I can get examples or where it makes sense, I don't understand how that gym cannot be a wrestling room during the 4 months. We've been told that gym classes use it. We've had gym classes since my grandparents were there in the last, 50 years in one gym. I feel like, who's gonna pay for tape? Are you guys aware how much that costs to tear them up and take them down every day? These athletes are spending 30, 45 minutes of their practice time doing this. Same with at the preschool, they have to take down the toys, put them up for the preschool. Wear and tear on the mats. I'm gonna have Kenna pass out some pictures I took last week. Our mats were folded. Mats cost around $10,000 to $15,000. This isn't something, that's not costly. I just feel like they could be on site. Well, and this is and I think I speak for everybody, this is no offense to any other sport. This is just in general, I feel like basketball teams, if we're able to use that, can migrate that, take whatever supplies they have. We can't physically pick mats up that weigh thousands of pounds and distribute them across town and stuff like that. Okay, well, this site is not ideal. We have so many growing sports and have limited room. A facility would be amazing for wrestling. The indoor facility could not only house wrestling, but it could house also indoor practice for softball. I played softball when I was there. When we had indoor practices and there was bad weather, there was nowhere to practice. And we also had to share with other sports as well. Cross country also has no locker room along with us. That could be a room to call home. weights area as well, without being cramped, and us being crammed behind bleachers. Wrestling is a growing sport, not to mention girls alone. It obviously is a growing sport and altogether, but wrestling for girls, not just in Kansas, is the fastest growing sport. So we have 50 students, or 48, I think, athletes right now. I believe we have more girls than boys. But, so if that's a growing sport, you're gonna have to, like, we don't have room as it is. Also, I wanna talk about coaching talent coming from our town. Are you guys aware that at least 6 local high schools coaches that are high school coaches around our area are FSHS alumni wrestlers that we produce from this town, from this program, to go out there and teach these kids? My son, my daughter, both wrestle, have learned from a lot of these coaches. My daughter, like Erin said, was the first female wrestler in history. She placed fourth as a freshman, won her state title as a sophomore, and is currently on her path, hopefully to bring it home again this year. She also this past week brought Outstanding Wrestler Award, and we were talking about that, and I think the last person to bring that was Josh Latimer, which I think was in the early 2000s. Again, this copy of this email that I was talking about, I sent you to your reply, because you're besides, I think, the only reply that I got, so you can share that with them as well. When Kenna talks, I'm gonna have her hand the pictures out of the board out in the hallway that Erin discussed too. But, thank you.
Hello and good evening. My name is Kenna Miles, a junior and wrestler at Fort Scott High School. Today I'm here to speak about some issues we're having as a Fort Scott High School wrestling program and speaking out as a wrestler myself. As wrestlers, we put in hard work day in and day out, and we put our bodies and minds through things some other sports aren't accustomed to. As an athlete and student, I feel our school lacks supporting, promoting, and advocating unpopular sports. Wrestling has always been a popular sport, especially with USD 234. As wrestlers on the team, we're here today to speak about how we feel unwanted and neglected as a sport. As a school and community, we should be supportive and encouraging for every sport Fort Scott High School has. As for being said, our wrestling team feels let down and believes we get a lack of assistance and support from our school and administration. Even though sports do get posted in our daily bulletin, we should get more recognition as a program. Not only is this for wrestling, but for all other sports as well. As for me being the first girl in Fort Scott High School history to win a state title, I feel like our school disregarded the school record and history I proceeded to achieve. Not only did I win the state tournament, but I put in countless hours of training and determination into winning that state title. But at the end of the day, I feel uncared for by our school for achieving that great accomplishment through our wrestling program. Same for our state placers who put in their hard work to punch their ticket into the state tournament. As decades go by, even our graduated wrestlers who have broken school records and achieved great accomplishments through our program received a lack of recognition from our school. Also, our wrestling trophy case is still not up to date, and pictures are only a piece of paper that is being ripped and does not look presentable. As kids, the simplest recognition can make an athlete's day. Walking into school and seeing the great accomplishments that your student athletes have achieved make us and our team feel enthused and proud of our dedication and hard work. As for our wrestling facility, it does not reach the standards a wrestling room should consist of. We've had problems with heating in our building for many years, and no one seems to put in the effort to help our program out. As wrestlers, we roll around, drill, and condition every day at practice. It is a hazard because cold temperatures can lead to torn muscles and injuries. We also have a risk of health issues as mold is growing in our facility, which can make us sick and is not sanitary. For being a large team and program, we should receive a space where we can practice at our full potential and be able to improve our skills and continue to grow our knowledge and training in wrestling. As years go on, wrestling is a growing sport and it always will be. Our program has over 50 students participating and does not have a designated on-campus practice room. Also, some athletes have to worry about transportation and are worried about how they're going to make it to practice. At the end of the day, I am an athlete who is disappointed and let down on how our school is managing this sport. We should have equal treatment and should not be looked at differently based off the sport we desire and are passionate about. I believe that the school needs to make a greater effort in supporting all sports and giving more recognition to our athletes who are working hard and putting in the effort to reach their goals and dreams. I hope my voice is heard, and all I want is for a support system to change and improve so we Fort Scott High School wrestlers can feel welcome and appreciated by USD 234. Any questions? Yeah. That is That is in the hallway as you're walking in through the back doors and you look to your left-hand side, it is in the trophy case. And I believe the last person that was updated was Jacob Stinnett, and that was in 2019. Yes, that is where we have been practicing this past week. Yes, so the first pictures I ended up passing around, those are the pictures of where we are practicing currently. As you can see in those also, the mats are very expensive, obviously, and the mat is bent up against the back of the bleachers, and by doing that, obviously it's going to destroy the mat, and someone's going to have to supply a new mat at the end of the day. So yes, that is currently at the old middle school. Yes. And we also have frozen pipes at the old middle school too, and sewage problems and a lot of things. It's not sanitary for us. Especially with wrestling being a overall disgusting sport. It's just not as sanitary as it should be. And it just, honestly, we just need a change.
I was very confused. I walked in the new gym not knowing this was the new gym. It was like, you guys are gonna play basketball. And I walked in the old gym. There's nobody in there doing that. So I walked up to the old basketball the rest of the night. There's nobody in there doing that. And I found out I had to drive from the middle school. And I thought, why do we have to do this? And I was back to the middle school. I'm curious, why we had that move over there? There's all this empty space for those two guys posting up there. I don't know anything about it. I don't know what it means. But it's funny that I actually had that thought in December before I knew anything about it.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Any other questions?
That was a statement. That was a story. The story's not.
Kenneth, thank you.
Thank you.
Did I skip you? I did. Sorry about that.
I think they've all said it pretty loud and clear. I
It-
think the girls.
It wasn't intentional. Step up, please.
Sorry, I'm Jessica Smith. I'm Jerry Smith's mom. I think the girls have all stated, I think the other ladies have stated it as well, the parents. I think we just want our kids to be able to be heard. I think they want to know that they're a part of the school as a whole. They want to know that their sport is recognized. They want to know, I think that they just want to feel that they're a part of our school district. If you walk into where they practice every day over in the old gymnasium, it still has middle school Panthers back on the door. I mean, it doesn't matter what it's painted like, but they do want to feel like they're a part of something, like they're part of Fort Scott Tigers. And I think they want, from what I hear from you girls and guys, they all want to feel like they're a part of our high school. And I think right now, they feel like they've been let down by poor conditions that they're having to wrestle in every day. I think everybody else has said it pretty clear. But, yeah, I think everybody's said their piece.
Sorry, I skipped you.
No, you're good.
Let me look through here again, yeah. We got everybody? I believe we do. All right, thank you, everyone. Moving on. I move that the board enters executive session to discuss the employment of personnel for the 2024-25 school year pursuant to the non-elected personnel exemption under COMA. Open meeting to resume in the boardroom at 7:05?
Yes.
7:05, and the board invites Terry and Tanya and Destry.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. We're going to have an executive session, so we're going to ask everybody to step out. But if you haven't signed the paperwork at the door, please do. for the board to resume in the boardroom at 7:15, the Board of Vice Vestry and Terry.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.